Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Regrets Archive. Deep in the back of your mind is a filing cabinet filled with memories of regret. Today, we are asking you to open that up with us as we discuss workplace mistakes and career resilience. I'm your co-host, Kate Randall. I'm here with Shay and Mason as well. And today, we'll take you through some of our career regrets and mistakes. So a little bit about myself. I'm currently a senior at St. Cloud State University, but prior to being here, I actually used to be a dance teacher. I have quite a bit of eclectic experience being a chemistry tutor. I was a shoes salesperson. I've done marketing, but a lot of my time prior to college was really focused on dancing pre-professionally. And it really wasn't until COVID, when I graduated high school at the same time, that I was like, okay, I might have to shift gears from having a professional performance career to going college. That's when I ended up shifting and actually started teaching dance at a studio. So I think my regret, I would say, happened during this time was that I actually didn't protect myself, and I often placed my passion over taking care of my own personal health and my own mental health in this situation. So I danced at the studio for quite a few years, but I ended up teaching there for about 3 years. And during this time, there were a lot of things that, I knew weren't healthy. I knew weren't great workplace things. But again, it was always that passion, but I love dancing and I love teaching dance. I always placed over that, if that makes sense. One story I remember when I kind of started to realize, hey, I don't know if this is the healthiest place for me. It would have been one of the big peaks of COVID, and I ended up catching COVID. And luckily it wasn't too severe, but I did have some health issues because obviously it was COVID. So I remember when I was coming back to the studio, my lungs weren't yet at 100% capacity. And when you're teaching dance, you have to be able to physically demonstrate things while you're also explaining what to do. And when you're like me, you work with a lot of elementary schoolers, you have to be able to breathe. You have to be able to dance a lot and talk a lot and breathe. And I remember, so I was coming back to the studio and I asked if they could get me an aid teacher, a student teacher or something to help, just because I was like, I can't for several hours physically demonstrate and do everything. They're like, but you've been gone for so long and the students have missed a lot of classes, so you just need to come back. And it was totally ignored that altogether. And I was like, okay, yeah, I guess so. And I just pushed through, not being able to actually fully breathe. So that was one of the things that I realized that I was like, that was not healthy. Eventually, I ended up leaving the studio a few years ago. I don't know if I have regrets over how I left it. I think part of it was hard because it was after the end of the season, so our season ended in May, and then I just ended up leaving in June, over the summer, said I'm not coming back. So I think sometimes I regret, I didn't get a lot of closure from that, but I also knew a lot of that closure would have been fake, the whole, Miss Kate's not coming back next year, it's so sad, all that, because there have been series and series of events when I was continuously blamed for things that weren't my fault, or if there was ever an issue that I needed to talk to my supervisor about, they would come instantly with some other issue that was not important at all to just tear me down. That way they didn't feel so bad about whatever issue I had to talk about. And so I think my regret was that I stayed there so long. I stayed for 3 years. And even now I feel like I'm building back up a lot of my workplace confidence. I act a lot less confident than I am mentally. I realized this into a secondary mistake. I ended up messing up a template for this project we had in our advertising agency. I made a typo in this template, and it went through I kid you not, 15 people, and they did not catch this typo, even though they were the ones working with the templates and putting in their own information and proofreading it. No one caught this typo for 3 months, and we just caught it. So it happened after, So it was Wednesday, they get this email, some of the other workers, and they were all told there's been so many typos, and there was a bunch of other issues as well with it that weren't on me at all. And then they find out Thursday morning, they're like, the template Kate made had a typo in it. And honestly, I know. So I was honestly, though, the thing is, I realized internally, I was okay, whatever, make a mistake, fix the template, move on, right? But outwardly, I was so apologetic. I was super texting my supervisor. I'm oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'll fix the template, I'll redo things, whatever. I was very outwardly I guess apologetic is the word, but I think it was a defense mechanism in some sense, protect myself because I'm so used to other environments where even things that aren't a mistake or aren't your fault, you're going to get dragged for regardless. So yeah, I think that was one of my regrets, was letting myself stay in an unhealthy situation because it was like, but I'm passionate about dance, so I want to stay here.
I'm so passionate about it, and it's what I do.
Do you have a question for you, Kate? I was just curious. Do you do you still have a drive for dance, or do you have regrets of not going back?
Yeah, I think that's the hard thing, is I think because I let myself stay in a toxic situation for so long, I definitely have a hard time getting back into the dance studio. Like I probably haven't danced in like 2 years now since leaving, which has been hard because I'm definitely passionate about that. And I have some, other friends, we're talking about doing our own dance studio, our own dance kind of stuff. But yeah, that's definitely going to be a situation that's going to be a lot harder for me to get back into, just because I have a lot of negative mentality that's linked to it.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a lot of unlearning. So I think that's a can of worms I haven't quite approached yet, just because I know it's going to be a lot of work to do that. But so again, I think it kind of plays into that regret. Like had I protected myself and left that studio environment sooner, I think I'd actually have a better passion for dance and have a healthier mentality to it than trying to push and place my passion first over my own mental health.
Totally understandable. Also, being in that career for so long, do you have any, positive career traits that you can apply to what you're chasing now?
Yeah, I think that gave me a lot of skills, especially I think there's some element of performing arts where you really have to be detail oriented. And in working, small businesses, companies, you definitely develop just a lot of those multitasking skills and a lot of abilities. So I do think there are benefits and there are skills I learned from that situation. I just wish that it happened in a healthier way. But I think, Mason, you have similar experience as well, though, because you also were in the performing arts for a while, if I understand correctly.
Yeah. Hi, you guys. My name is Mason. I am 26 years old, and I'm finally figuring my life out. I am chasing a career path here at St. Cloud State University. I'm a mass communications major with a minor in political sciences. I do have a degree in acting, and it led me right back to school, but I'm inspired every day. I'm thankful for all the years that I've spent chasing my dreams in that career field, so I'd like to fill you in on one of my worst career mistakes. I started acting when I was 8 years old, and for 9 years after, I polished the craft and got signed on with a talent agency in Los Angeles. Across the Board Talent Agency took me on under their wing at 17 years old after attending a convention called IPOP, or International Presentation of Performers. After being signed on with my talent agency, I had several opportunities to audition virtually and a few opportunities to fly out to LA and audition in person. One of my biggest auditions, I'm at Paramount Studios in Los Angeles. I flew out with my mom and sister, my biggest supporters. I've read the script and prepared as much as I possibly could. My sister is always my wingman, and she helped me feed lines to prepare. You get the script literally a few days beforehand, so you have a little time to prepare, and being 17, life is kind of crazy trying to figure everything out. I am enamored by all the golden fixtures in the building. We're in LA, where dreams are within reach. Or so I thought. I get into my audition nearly wet from anxiety sweat. There's a spot on my shirt where my underarms have perspired and the twinkle in my eye has dulled just a bit. I'm nervous as hell. The producers were very polite though, so I had nothing to worry about. We introduce ourselves and I go on to reading the portion of the script that my talent agency told me to. As I finish, the producers tell me to continue reading on, and I stare like a deer in the headlights. I didn't know I was supposed to prepare that, I say. What the hell, Mason? Why would you do that? And I knew then I wouldn't get the part.
It's really cool. I think that shows kind of everyone there are a lot of trial and error in the things that we're doing and our careers. There's never one direct path. I feel like in a lot of ways, especially for acting, to be honest, there's no one gig. I mean, we talk about it, getting your big break. Even in the dance world, it's always like, okay, trying to get that one big performance, that one big role, and you think that's going to be what makes your career. But realistically, it's all the small roles in between. It's all the, like, a lot of times the network that you build while doing that, and a lot of the different experiences that honestly make up your life and give you a fulfilling life more than just like a single role.
Definitely. I definitely agree with that. It's all about the connections, the networking. If you, if you connect with all the people around you that are doing the same thing, you can grow and learn from everyone.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it definitely is like a learning curve, and it's you gotta just take the chances that you get, as they come to you.
So Shay, how about you? Join us in our misery and share some of your thoughts and stories.
'Cause they say our misery loves company. Yeah, so mine is very much long in my past, but it was my first job. I've had 6 jobs since I started working, maybe 7 now. But my first job was at McDonald's. When I started working when I was 14, almost 15.
Start them young.
Yeah, and after I turned 16 is when I was able to start learning on the grill and started able to operate like the fryers and everything. And one of my managers came up to me and asked if I wanted to be trained on that, and asked if I wanted to start closing, and I was like, yeah, I want the hours, I want to get everything I can out of this. And I hadn't told my parents that I was learning grill yet. So when my parents found out that I was behind, I was manning the grill and operating all these very high temperature machinery, my mom blew up. But she didn't,
Mama Bear.
But she didn't say anything to me to express her concerns. It came when she was coming to pick me up from work, because it was like right before I got my car, so I wasn't driving yet. And she came to pick me up from work, and my manager steps out to deliver a curbside order. He gives the people their food, they take it and they drive off, and she rolls down her window, and my mom goes, "Sir, are you one of the managers?" And, my loving manager at the time, he's like, "Yeah, I am. How can I help you?" My mom explains that she's my mom, and that she didn't want me manning the grill and operating all this equipment and everything, and she was worried about me fainting on the grill, because I had passed with fainting before, and she was just really concerned, and I was so mad and so embarrassed of this, and I was like so upset that she didn't convey this concern with me before talking to my manager. And then my manager comes in, and I was watching this whole thing from the window. It was after I clocked out, I was waiting for my food, and I was watching this whole thing happen. He walks inside, and I was like, "What did she say?" Like, "Let's go talk." And so it ends in him explaining that I can't man the grill anymore, because since I was a minor, technically they would have to listen to what my mom was saying.
Dang.
However, the whole management team was very split on this. Like, the main manager, who was kind of in charge of everybody, really wanted me to learn grill. He was very much like, "We don't have to listen to your parents, this is your job, this is your life. If you want to learn grill, we'll let you learn grill." And then, Jacob, the one that did talk to my mom, he was like, "No, you cannot learn grill. We legally have to, abide by what your mom is saying," and everything. And so it was very split. So, one day I would go into work, and I would learn the grill, and then Jacob would come in 2 hours later and yell at me, being like, "What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing back there?" And it was just such a split thing, and it got to the point where they were shuffling me around every shift of, managers fighting over where I could and couldn't be in the building. And then it got to the point where I was like, I can't take it anymore, and I quit. I went off to a seasonal job at Target, because I quit in November. And, it was just, I guess my biggest regret here is not standing up to my mom more and saying, this is my career, this is my job, this is my choice, I've already, made this decision that I'm learning this, and you can't dictate that. I do regret not saying those things to my mother, and I do regret not sticking up for myself more.
For sure.
And I also just regret not saying anything to my managers, of saying hey, I talked to my mom, and it's fine. But that's one of my main regrets, is just how long I let the arguing go on for and not saying anything.
Yeah, because it definitely sounds like there was some of that, miscommunication, like you said. Managers were kind of split, so it made it even harder for you, because you're now having to manage 2 completely different views on what you should and shouldn't be doing. So that would definitely be a challenge.
Yeah.
I'm a dreamer guy. I'm a what if, and so all I'm thinking about right now is, can you imagine Mama Bear coming out if you actually got hurt on that grill?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, there wasn't, like, even when I was learning, like, I was very cautious, very careful about all the equipment, and, you know, if I did get hurt, I would imagine that she would have probably sued.
Exactly.
Hey, you
Yeah,
could have made
it's
some nice
funny.
college money.
Yeah, exactly. Except it wouldn't have come to me.
True. That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, so, but, you know, it was very, I do understand, like, the what ifs, you know, and it's hard to imagine, like, what would have happened if I hadn't quit at Target. You know, I wouldn't have been working, like, from Target, I went to Walmart, and I worked there for, you know, 2-3 years. And, you know, it's definitely insane to think about if that one thing didn't happen, you know, where would I be today? Would I still be a mass communications major, you know?
For sure. I think those what ifs play a lot into our concept of regret, because a lot of times when you think about regretting something, you're like, okay, well, what if you didn't? You know, what if it had changed? What if it had happened differently? But at the end of the day, it didn't. It didn't. So you do kind of have to move forward with, this is what happened, not what if, this is what happened. So I think in all of our different experiences, we all have things that we wonder, what if it happened differently? You know, for myself, I wonder, what if I had been in a healthy dance studio? You know, would I still be a mass communications major myself? Or what if I had quit dance early? You know, what would it look like? But I think at the end of the day, all we can really look at is how we're going to move forward with where we are at.
Yeah, for sure.
Wrapping up here, any other thoughts? So I think our final question is, do you regret it, or do you think it was a purposeful part of your plan, of your life story?
I mean, I definitely regret the moment, but I've definitely learned from my mistakes. Like I've stated, I went on to college to pursue an acting degree, and now I'm furthering my education again as a mass communications major. So, you know, you just got to learn from your mistakes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think for me personally, like, as much as I regret not sticking up to my mom and everything in that situation, I don't regret quitting McDonald's as a whole. I think that was the right path for me. And, like, I know, like, without that, I wouldn't be where I am today. And that was definitely, like, the stepping stone of my search for myself and what I wanted to do with my life. And that was a vital stepping stone in me choosing mass communication and journalism.
Absolutely. I think I'm in a similar boat where I don't regret leaving the dance world. It's definitely, you know, hard, and I want to re-enter it in some way, but I think it was good for me to actually explore some passions and some thoughts outside of that world. So I regret how and why I left, but I don't think I actually regret the action of leaving the dance world.
Awesome. I'd just like to say thank you so much for having me, Kate. I really enjoyed speaking with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for both of you coming here. And I know it's not easy to share some of your, you know, regrets and career mistakes, but hopefully those out there listening can be encouraged and learn some skills and some workplace resilience from this. So thank you so much, everyone. And this has been another episode of the Regrets Archive.